Welcome to The Turnover. The format is simple. Take 3 multifamily media network hosts with a maintenance background and put them together. The twist is that, like maintenance in the apartment industry, they have to respond to the unknown. You see, 2 of the hosts don't know what the topic is. The fun part is there's no limit and you get to listen in. So what ideas are we turning today? Welcome to this episode of The Turnover. Thank you for joining Chris, Mark, and I on our continuing exploration of playing Stump the Host, to where we see what questions we can come up with to really drive each other crazy. My question for this episode is actually beyond the multifamily industry. And I chalk it up to the gray hair. Being the old guy, I have had a lot of rants here lately. So my question to you both: what negative trend in multifamily business society are you seeing continuing that drives you crazy? And what can we do to change it?
Oh.
So the story behind where this question comes from is I went to go get my wife some donuts from the local donut shop and major national chain. But I go in there, and it's been a while since I had been in, and they changed the little lobby, counter, whatever you call it, to where it used to be you walk in the door, you go right to the register, you place your order, they grab the donuts out of the glass case next to you, put it in a box, hand it to you, you give them the money, ta-da, you leave with your donuts, and you're all happy. Now, in between the front door and the register are these huge iPad-looking things that, you know, bigger than my entire torso, and you walk up to them, and the idea is to push a button and place your order, and then you pay there. The people behind the counter then get your food and hand it to you, and you go on about your merry business. My problem was, and this is the negative trend, inserting technology in the place of people. I walked from the door directly to the young lady behind the counter who had the earbuds in her face, in her head, and I tried to get her attention, and she looked at me with the look of utter disdain. You old fool, go there and place your order. And then turned around without me even able to say anything. Complete and total ignore. So my negative trend is the insertion of technology between person-to-person customer service.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time at those machines, unfortunately, Paul, because I'm on the road a lot, so I hit a lot of rest stops, grab lunch. You can tell by my... Oh, actually, you can't. Thankfully, you can't tell how big my belly is.
Black is very slimming.
Black, first of all, black is slimming. Nice plug for my MMN shirt.
Hey, my camera takes 20 pounds off.
The camera takes 20 pounds off. There's other things that take 20 pounds off, too. We'll talk about that later. So
the treadmill?
I spend a lot of time, and I see those machines, and I want to talk about it twofold. One, there is something with customer service. Your example was perfect, right? You inserted technology, you took out something that was typically done by somebody at a counter. And it is not just your fast food restaurants. It could be your local, my local coffee shop now. They have somebody at the counter taking orders. But with an app on my phone, which we're going to talk about phones in a second, is that I can place my order before I leave my house.
Mm-hmm.
I drive over there, I walk in, I give them my name, they hand me my coffee, and I go about my way. I have paid, I have ordered. I have left a tip for somebody that all they have done is taken my cup off a shelf and handed it to me, and I gave them, because I'm a nice person, a 10% tip.
Yep.
Never talked to them, never had any communication. So that technology piece is taking away customer service. And I think lining it back up to our business, that's problematic because we are a customer service business. We are seeing that in the multifamily industry with online leasing, where the first time they may ever actually talk to somebody is when they come get their keys for their apartment. And in some cases, they're not even getting the key. With new technology, there's no physical key. They're getting emailed a digital key or a digital passcode. You could literally rent an apartment in the United States now, not all communities, but newer communities, where you don't even talk to anybody until you have a problem, which is the worst way to deal with the situation. Because who are they talking? Let's bring it back to us.
Yep.
The first person they're talking to in person, verbally, they can live in a community for 8 months. Their first issue, they're talking to a maintenance person. They've had zero customer service up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pause there. I got some more thoughts on this, but I think that one hits home is the customer service piece. That trend isn't going away, guys. Listeners, we are seeing the death of customer service in the food industry, in the hotel industry, in multifamily industry. It's going away. I was at a restaurant where the waitress came and took my order, and that was the last time I saw her because a robot delivered the tacos and margaritas to my table. A robot.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last I talked to somebody was when she came over and said, "What would you like?" And you believe I gave her a $20 tip, a 20% tip? The robot delivered the food. The robot didn't get the tip. It's not like they took the robot to the car wash and used my tip money to wash up the robot.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So we're seeing the death of customer service, which in this business, it's especially for maintenance, is paramount. So I have another thought too on technology and killing, but I want to give Mark a little space.
And the question doesn't have to be technology. That's just the trend, the negative trend grinds my gears, for lack of a better term.
But to just completely roll off exactly what Chris was just saying, online leasing, I had it written down as soon as you posed the question. Know of a company who just say 30 properties, who removed staff from all 30 properties, all office staff from all 30 properties. And so you think about 30 properties, just say some of them were like multi-site managed. So say you have 15 managers and 20 leasing over those 30 properties.
Mm-hmm.
They closed the door on all 30 of those properties, put notes up on the door that said, for leasing information, scan this QR code. You get a QR code, you get somebody in some other country you don't know who is trying to sell you an apartment at that community who's never seen it. All they're looking at is an online
script.
Script. Or here's how we want you to paint this property. Say these words, say these things, and they're reading it. They're doing exactly what they're told to do. They're reading that. And yes, you can lease an apartment here and never talk to a single human being. Some properties, but you close the door on all 30 properties. You move those 15 managers and 20 leasing agents to one office. You then condense that down to 3 managers, 3 assistants, and 3 leasing. So you take 35 people and you reduce that down to 9, right? So, oh man, we're saving so much money in payroll, but you're losing so much more because you've lost that human touch. You've lost that interaction. You cannot build. We're a relationship industry. People renew at our properties because they like the staff and you take care of their situations. You're nice. You're friendly. Yeah. Like
yes, you're correct. But to play devil's advocate, to I don't know, disagree or
devil's
change
advocate on your own topic. You're playing devil's advocate on your own topic?
Why not? Let's do it. Look, Chris,
Go ahead.
you said, Mr. Chris, you said customer service is dead. I actually disagree with that. Customer service is being redefined, meaning that customer service used to be a human being has a need, and customer service is another human being foreseeing that need, delivering the need with empathy, with a smile, with a feeling, with a going out of your way, applying, earning that tip. Okay. Now for our industry, my example was beyond our industry, but for our industry, yes, that whole big word of centralization is occurring. AI lease. I know. I saw the grimace.
Stop it.
Both Chris and Mark just had a shiver went up and down when I said, are you ready? Centralization. When that is happening, it's occurring. Like it or not, every management company I've talked to, not only that, on my side hustle, calls from technology companies asking for advice, consulting. We have this new product, this new way. Mm-hmm. The redefining of customer service is customers want it. Blame it on COVID, blame it on lack of personal skills, blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. They want. You yourself said the phone, go on, get an app. I'm sorry. I am a huge fan of the Chick-fil-A drive-through model, to where you have a human being, not a tablet, not a thing. You have a human being that comes up to my truck. I place the order. I go up there. And my brain goes one step further than that, to the societal, to the kids, to the development. When we all entered the workforce, we had a almost zero responsibility job where there was no requirements to go to begin that job.
Yeah.
Those are going away. Mark, in your example, you took from 30 properties on Made Up Management Company, 30 properties. And before, there would have been 45 to 60 leasing people at those 30 properties. Now you can do the same work at those properties easily using the apps and AI and centralized telephone screening and that. You could drop that down to 10 people, but that's just one industry. Take that across to all the industries. Yeah. And yes, leasing on the office side of things, that is the entry-level customer service position. For us, the porter position or the grounds technician position, there are robots now that can begin to do that porter, that entry-level position job. Larger than that, I mean, there are robots now that deliver food over the road. Yeah. I was at a property a couple of months ago. It was lunchtime. They said, oh, let's order the robot. And yes, it was fun. It was cute. It was a gadget. It was a gimmick. But if you think beyond just the immediate need, it's horrifying to me that we have taken away the ability for a teenager who just got their driver's license now to get that job to deliver the food and earn a tip, because humanity, we have reduced humanity to an app on our phone or to a checklist on a centralized phone screening or to a, for our industry, resident portal or text message, email communication string. So, yeah.
Wow.
Old guy rant. Watch out.
Yeah, isn't it, and thinking about it, I'm an old guy now, right? When I say things like customer service is dead, you're right, Paul. It's not what people want. Majority, as each generation phases out, as each generation phases in, right? We're seeing, you're seeing the older generations, we're used to that person-to-person contact. right? Each generation, and now my teenage daughter is perfectly fine never talking to anybody. And she's a very social person, right? But this is the world she lives in, so that's what we have to adapt to. But the problem with that, taking it back to our maintenance microcosm, is that we service all generations.
Correct.
And 90% of the time, we're servicing them face to face, no matter how old the maintenance person is, right? More, especially post-COVID, I'm seeing more and more people want to be home for their service request. For whatever reason, they don't want somebody in their house when they're not there. When I got into the business 15 years ago, permission to enter PTE granted 100% of the time. I didn't have to talk to anybody in my early days.
No.
Unless they were one of those rare people that worked at night or worked from home or, it didn't work and had, they were a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad with the kids. As we see that with the upcoming generation of maintenance professionals, they are so used to doing everything on the device, ordering food, booking airline tickets. My mother called a travel agent, right? I book all of my travel from my phone.
Correct.
In a half hour. I don't have to talk to a single person anymore, right? I love that. But then you get to the airport and you have to talk to somebody. Oh, it's the same thing with it's the same thing in our world. And when I say customer service is dead, it's because we're letting it die. Organizations are pulling those people off sites because financially it makes sense, because there's an app that replaces it. But we are forgetting about the people who have no choice. And that is the maintenance professionals at the site. Yeah. Your porters still have to say hello to the residents as they're walking their dog or going to their car. And if they don't say hello to some people at the property, it's not a problem. Younger generations, you stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine. Let's just wave, nod, whatever. But you have people like your communities who want that hello, who need that eye-to-eye, person-to-person connection, even if it's just hello. I have gotten complaints. Oh, Jimmy never says hi to me when I walk the property, and I'd like to file a formal complaint. I don't think that he likes me. All Jimmy does is pick up the trash. But you want to file a complaint against somebody that's never, just because he doesn't say hi? Mm-hmm. That's when I say customer service is dead and dying is the problem, right? Is that we have such a large customer base that if we're not stressed, we're pulling away customer service. Are we training people on customer service? Probably not, because we have less and less people that we need to train on it.
Correct.
We're training them on it, but we give them an e-learning course to learn customer service.
Because that's how you do it, right? Everything's e-learning. But so this is great because
is it great work?
No. I'm not talking about the death of customer service. I'm talking if we at MMN we have a fellow host on the network, Gabrielle Gonzalez, and she had an episode where she phoned in or remoted into a classroom, and there were kids in a class sitting in this room, and they were all asking her questions, and they were talking about things that what they liked about service, what they didn't like about service, things that or places they went where they received great service versus not great service. And then there was like a round robin of questions at the end. And one of the kids who spoke up, and this, like, I don't want to get like, but it really just, it was like a brick wall hit me in the face. But you talk about everything's on an app now. You never have to talk to a human, but you can order food, you can get groceries, you can do whatever you want. You can trade all your travel, never talk to a single human being. But one of the kids spoke up at the end of the class, and he said, you know what? I would love for someone to teach me how to shake someone's hand, because I have never done it, and I get anxiety when I go up to someone and they stick their hand out for me to shake, and I don't know how to shake someone's hand. And I was driving in my car when I heard this person say that. And I was like, what? The most basic of basic human fundamentals, shaking someone's hand, causes this particular kid anxiety because no one's ever taught him how to do it.
That you are there. And as we're about halfway through, I wanted to switch the topic to what do we do about it? What can we do? I mean, I think I was curious to see if there was what you guys were going to say, but it appears as if we're pretty unanimous on our negative trend at this point. Go figure. But the flip side is, okay, great. We've identified this thing that is a huge issue within multifamily and the trend that it's going. But to your point, and now I need to go find that episode because listen to it from of her show because I want to hear that. But to your point, that was actually going to be my what can we do? Teach these young men and young women how to have interpersonal communications, because the societal impacts of, I mean, in my case, and stereotypically, it used to be fathers would train that. And you look at all the demographics and the amount of fathers in homes is less now. But even beyond that, schools, because of COVID, you don't touch, you stay away from people. We still got people wearing, I'm going to say this, don't be mad at me, or send emails to MMN, address them old guy. Okay, boomer, put that in there in the header. That's fine. But there are people still wearing masks from COVID, which basically that's a huge sign that says, don't talk to me, don't come up to me, and I'm not going to come up to you. That is the beginning of the solution, not removing masks, because there is a health reason to do that, and I acknowledge that. But just the understanding that we are a relational species, we need people. Just the fact that the three of us have such a good time talking, and even better when we can be in person. And I know for a fact Chris, recently when I saw you here, you came down to Atlanta for Advocate, and Mark, you did too. First thing that we did when we saw each other, put hands out and shake hands.
That's right.
And yet, when I go to conferences and you see somebody, never met them before, I put my hand out and they look at me, and not even a fist bump. It's, what do you want me to do with that?
Yeah.
So it's changing.
It's the pre-COVID world, and it's where we live now when it comes to physical contact. Listen, I get that.
Yes.
I'm going to step, I think into your answer, but I'm going to take a different approach. I think that societally, and even in our industry, we have to meet people where they want to be met.
Yep.
If they don't want to shake hands, that's fine. We can't be offended. If they don't want to talk to anybody on the phone, they want to do everything in the app, we have to be okay with that. But if they want that in-person contact, that has to be discussed. I think that customer service skills were one size fits all for a really long time. We've all had customer service training. All three of us have probably delivered customer service training. What we need to do as an industry and as a society is get rid of what we know. The paradigm has shifted and we haven't. Yep. We should be training people on how to meet people where they live and what they want. Ask the questions. Do you like physical contact? It may sound awkward. Can I shake your hand? Do you want somebody home during your service request? Would you rather communicate with us via phone? And a lot of companies are starting to do this, where you have the little checkbox. Go to my doctor's office. Do you want to be contacted via phone, email, or text? How do you want? Maybe we need to go a step further, because Paul, going back to your example, you weren't given a choice at your restaurant. They said, go do the app, but that's not how you wanted to be met. You wanted to actually talk to somebody. And nobody trained that person behind the counter and said, if there's an old person that comes up to you and doesn't even want to deal with the technology, maybe that person is technology illiterate. Maybe they're technology phobic. You have to be able to service the customer and meet them where they want to be met. That's what we're missing. I think ultimately that's the solution, is how do we meet people where they want to be met, not where we think they should be met, whether that's at a device or person to person. It's a spectrum. It's somewhere in between.
The number of companies, the number of, I've got something popping up on my screen, go away. The number of things that in our industry.
Somebody wants to provide you customer service and you just ran away.
No, it was just a random pop-up. Are you sure you want to restart your computer? I'm like, no, I didn't touch anything.
I'm kind of working here. Like,
I know. Can't you see? I mean, obviously you're watching what I'm doing. But I think one of the things that frustrates me the most, and Chris, I think you're onto something about asking the question, how would you like to be spoken to? How would you like to be managed? How would you like to, I think you're onto something there. But I think what's happening is because I too, I've been to the restaurants, one of my favorite places to go. My niece and nephew used to work there, and I'd go right up to the counter and they'd say, oh, hey, Mark, same thing. And I'm like, yep. And I'd go sit down. Now there's a screen this freaking big, and it's like what I want to order. Instead of just saying, hey, I want a turkey and cheese sub with salt and pepper, I now have to scroll to find the bread. I got to scroll to find the turkey. I got to scroll to find but the problem for me is that I'm being forced to do this. I don't want to do this. I want to say, I just want a turkey and cheese sandwich with salt and pepper. That's all I want. But by them making the decision for me, now I feel like I'm forced to adapt. And that's where I start to have a problem.
Yeah.
It's not that I have a problem. Like, okay, I'll scroll, or I'll go online and create my account and save the sub that I want the way I want it, so that when I walk in, I'd put my little thumb on there and push mark, and boom, there's my sub. Sure. That's what they want, because they want my data. They want my preferences. They want to know how to advertise. They want to know how to do but for me, it's just that it's like, okay, we're going to remove these people from the offices and we're going to force you to scan this QR code. It's like, I don't want to do that. I will go somewhere else because I want to walk in and I want to tour an apartment with a human being, because that's how I want to be. So
I guess then it is. And I admit, I want the golden sepia toned days of yore, where you got the opportunity to interact with a human being multiple places in multiple times, and we had the wonderful opportunity to have the handshake. And when I can remember when I was on site working with a guy and I'd shake his hand and you get the wet fish, or you get just reach out, and maybe it was a firm, but there was no shake. It's just held there. And all of these things that used to be a part of getting older or becoming an adult. And I made sure that my daughter knew how to shake hands and do that. And I think, to kind of wrap this up, our solution is, Chris, to your point, to be more, I'm going to use the word understanding. I was going to grab for accommodating, but I actually don't think that accommodating is the answer. I think it's understanding. And the difference in my mind is the example of self-checkout. When self-checkout started here pre-COVID, you had one or two lanes at the grocery store, and you could go up there, and it was a times savings. But I had the choice as the customer. I could run through and check out my own groceries, or I could go through and get the human being who would scan it and put it in the bag and do it. But I had the choice. Now the majority of checkout lines are you do it yourself. And to what you guys have brought up, there's an economics to it. Yes, the store is saving money. It is in their interest for me, the customer, to become the employee. And not only that, I become responsible for my own performance. Yeah. And the comedian line I love is, look, on my new hire paperwork, I don't remember receiving training that said every item I want to buy has to go through the scanner. So, I'm not stealing this. It was a new hire training fault. Yeah. But to that point, it's no longer a choice. You now have at my local store, instead of having 32 Megamart, instead of having 32 aisles, now you've got 4 aisles of human being scanning, of which only one has a person there, and you have 60 self-scan stations. So in effect, there is no choice. So it's an economics thing.
Yeah, but Paul, I'm going to real quick.
Yeah.
That's grocery stores and big box stores meeting their customers where they live, because they do have that 1 lane open or 2 lanes open for people that don't want to use the technology. They don't want to be the employee, right? It's not like you're walking into a place where you have no choice. Like in our earlier examples, they're meeting people where they want to be met.
But if they're not matching the number of people who want to be met there, the recent example I have, you got 1 lane open and literally there is 24 people in line with the human being, and you've got empty self-scan stations, and the customer, the store is not opening up more people lanes. So you've taken away that. And for our industry, I'm worried that's where we're going. We're decreasing our head count and spending money on the fact that we can use this thing, and more people. Yes, I recognize that now the younger generations are the big people living and renting in there. So the end result, I think the answer for us is start in small ways, have increased human contact with the acceptability of different people wanting different customer service. So Paul just has to change his rant. So I will now go get my walker as we move over to the MMN website. So if you're watching this today and you have a thought or an idea other than a new walker type that Paul needs to inspect, please head over to MMN's website and leave us a voicemail or a message. As a matter of fact, if there's a question you have that you would like to see the 3 of us pull apart and potentially make fun of ourselves with, please put it in there, because that's kind of what the turnover is. Taking an idea and turning it over to see what's underneath it. So thank you for joining us today. Have a fantastic rest of your week.
Now it's your opportunity to respond and let us know what we missed. If there's any topics of conversation you'd like us to turn over, head over to multifamilymedianetwork.com and leave us a message.